In part, victims of their own success in a certain way.
Sure.
I mean, which is bound to happen. But some of the toughest fights and some of the kind of meanest politics we've seen in the last few years, it seems to me, have been inside the Republican Party rather than between Republicans and Democrats. Is that going to get a little less intense, you think? You expect it to get better before it gets worse, or no?
I expect it to get worse before it gets better. I said this years ago, that in the Republican Party, we looked at the situation where it was 130 years between Republican majorities, and that we were acting like that we were really taking turns, and that we were, at the time that I said it, we were 6 or 7 years into our 130 years, and we had a long time to go before we have to turn over the reins. Clearly that's not true. There appears to be, and I'm quoting somebody, there's a fight for the heart and soul of the Republican Party, where now the priority in a lot of people's mind is who are the really pure Republicans, the true conservatives, and anyone who is not, based upon criteria that is set by I'm not sure who, is then a heretic. And that there will be a Republican orthodoxy in doctrine, and if this Republican does not adhere to it, that is less of a Republican. I think if anything, I don't have a lot of problems with that, because I've always been a fiscal conservative. Do I measure up? We got away from, this is an important concept. You remember the idea of the compassionate conservative? He died, And what we have now is the callous conservative. We need to get away with that, because government can do good things for people. But I think if there's anything that I find particularly interesting is people keep invoking Ronald Reagan, as they should, as sort of the guiding spirit of the Republican Party, and then those same people will forget the 11th commandment, which was, thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican, and then attempt to eviscerate another Republican officeholder or candidate in the media, instead of letting our friends in the Democratic Party do it, with which they are very capable. And that's what concerns me the most, because we're going to see a time when there are going to be Republicans that other Republicans will not support. And you won't see that as much in primaries necessarily, because everybody knows if you don't vote in your Republican primary. But in general elections, I think that you're going to see a lot of Democrats elected by Republicans who simply feel that the Republican Party has become just that, callous conservatives instead of compassionate conservatives. And that gets a little bit abstract, but it sort of concerned me, who's never been anything but a Republican. There was nothing for me to go from and to. I've always been a Republican, and feel like that it has always probably provided a clear and more pragmatic vision for the country, certainly as a small businessman and a local official. I feel that way, but in very many instances, we're going to be our own worst enemy. Pogo was right.